Texas ranks 37th in the nation in life science scores. This is a troubling fact, and one that affects thousands of students statewide. Does your student find biology hard to learn? Are their scores dropping at an alarming rate? Are their futures limited by their inability to learn biology?
The exciting thing for me is that someone actually thought of interesting and fun and exciting science DVDs to make science fun for the kids, because to me, science is fun.
We have put over 75 years in creating this program because we recognize that preparation is the key to passing any exam, including the TAKS, and then of course exams. We created the only 25 DVD CD set of the full-year biology course online. Each DVD includes a unique teaching style, complete with concise lectures, helpful hints, hands-on applications, and original music, all aiming to help you learn and teach biology. Welcome to Virtual Science University. I'm Dr. Carrasco. You know, we have a major problem in this country. The problem is to learn and to teach biology. It's been a problem for many, many years and continues to be a problem. Well, we've created a solution, a 25 CD DVD set of the entire biology class. It's available as a DVD with accompanying CD. It's also available online. Why do we do this? Because we recognize that teaching biology and learning biology is extremely difficult.
The old school method of learning science just doesn't work anymore. That's the bottom line. It just doesn't work. Kids are not willing to use the textbook method the way you and I did. And in reality, biology is hard. It's a difficult discipline because of the big terms that exist, you know, like mitosis, like heterosporangiate. What the world is that, you know? It sounds like another language, you know, and in a way it is.
We have 4 major concepts that help this course become much easier to learn. For example, we'll use concise lectures, we'll use helpful hints, hands-on applications, and original music. We're going to show you, and we ask you to stay tuned to see how this program works. And now, welcome my guest, Professor Paul Briones, of co-creator of Virtual Science University. Welcome, Paul.
Glad to be here.
You know, let's talk about, you know, your experience. You've taught science and biology for 28 years. You got a degree in biology. You got a master's in life sciences with emphasis on biology. You're an author. I mean, you've written your own book. Sure. Why is this so important to you that we create a method to help people learn and teach biology?
Well, the reason that it's important is so that the information can be organized in such a manner to where it's user-friendly for the student.
And the real problem, let's talk serious here, is that kids are not learning biology. And because they're not learning biology, Paul, they're limited in their futures.
Exactly.
And the teachers are wondering, what are they going to do? How are they going to get this kid to learn?
We are providing a product for the learning process to take place, and more than that, the people that dictate what goes on here is the Texas Education Agency. And that's why the TEKS are critical. That's the basis on which this thing becomes important.
Because they're going to test you on it.
Exactly.
And you either pass the test or you don't.
Exactly. And if you don't pass the test, you don't graduate.
So tell me, Paul, the numbers don't lie. Tell me how your kids do with this program.
2004, 2005, when I was at Pecos High School, Science Department Chair, I had a 95% passing rate. And from what I hear from the administrators in the area, my principal told me that he believed that was the highest TAKS score for science in the region at the time. So they got me to go teach the pre-APs, you know, the gifted 7th graders, you know, life science. And of course, that picked up those scores at the 8th grade level. At Granbury High School, you know, they gave me all of the bottom of the barrel students, you know, the ones that are at risk, that have, you know, some learning deficiencies. And those TAKS scores increased approximately 17%. And then recently, this last year, you know, the last 5 weeks before TAKS and the last 8 weeks of the school year, I went to the particular school where I was at, and we had a gain on the TAKS scores that I had. There was exactly 17 percentage points that it was increased for the sophomores.
Professor Paul recognized this many years ago and began incorporating music and multimedia into his classroom. These techniques developed at the University of Iowa help maximize a student's ability not only to learn the information, but also to internalize it. These techniques have led a number of his students to become doctors, pharmacists, and even NASA engineers.
A pretest is a benchmark that tells the teacher and the student exactly where he or she is at in terms of the acquisition of the knowledge, in terms of what they already know. What I did with the PowerPoint slides, I looked at the Texas TEKS, which is Texas Essential Knowledge Skills. And with those TEKS, we have to identify what the power TEKS are. And that's what I did. And based on that, that's how the PowerPoint slides were developed.
Why did you do the 25 DVDs in that order?
Because I followed the sequence that was given to Texas school districts by the Texas Education Agency in terms of the specific order for the topics to be covered.
Virtual Science University was designed with this in mind. Here you will find a series of concise lectures, unique music, and hands-on applications that will help your student learn and remember biology. We have taken the resources and knowledge of Professor Paul Briones' 20 years of experience, and the experience of myself, a practicing physician, and combined them to create the most comprehensive and complete biology class available today. This class takes an entire year of biology and places it on 25 easy-to-use DVDs, beginning with lab safety and ending with the organ systems of the body. This set is a must for anyone interested in teaching or learning about science and medicine. Now let's talk about buying these and using these online. Why did you put these online?
Today, students learn through computers, iPhones, iPods, and so forth, and it's not like, the way it used to be. And that really is the problem that we face in Texas.
We've talked about the TAKS, which is a test that you must have to graduate from high school. But it's also, we have an end-of-course exam. What is the end-of-course exam that's coming up, and when is it coming up?
Beginning in 2011, Texas is going to shift from giving a science TAKS test to giving an end-of-course exam, specifically in disciplines of biology, chemistry, and physics.
And how does your program help someone prepare for that?
My program follows specifically all of those TEKS that the Texas Education Agency says that you must follow in terms of what they use to draw out the questions for the end-of-course exam.
Well, we talked again about concise lectures. How does that save a teacher prep time?
Well, it has everything. The lesson plan is here. It's all here. First of all, the content of the lesson is in the PowerPoint slides. The evaluation to see how the student does is in the pre-post test. And then on top of that, you have a song that's also based on repetitive patterns that helps the student to internalize information.
What you've done is taken the chapter, taken the important points with 28 years of education. You know what's important, you know what's testable, and you've made that important and made that part of your concise lecture. Right. So a student doesn't have to wonder what's going to be on the test. You've got a good idea. Take the parent. How are they going to help them with their homework if they don't know the subject? Biology and circulatory system being so difficult to learn.
Right.
You see parents struggling to help them with their homework. You see the parents up at night doing their own research. You see parents looking through the books, calling friends, doing whatever they can to help you learn and help your son or your daughter learn biology. How does this help a parent? Can a parent use this too?
Oh, yes. It's already here. That parent doesn't have to do any extra research on the internet or go to other books or whatever, because that information is here.
Well, you touched on a very important thing, which is the internet. You put these online, but not only, they don't have to spend hours now searching the topic. We've done that for them.
Exactly.
At VSU, we make it easy to purchase, download, and subscribe to this comprehensive biology program. Simply go to the home page and choose the Purchase the Complete Program link, which allows you to purchase the entire set. or scroll down to review the list of DVDs. Click on your selection and proceed to preview the DVD. Then simply click on the purchase link and choose to buy now, download, or subscribe. Subscribing will allow you to watch all the DVDs for an entire month. Visit VSU Online today. You're making a great choice to start learning or teaching biology. So, as I understand it, in your program, they should take the pretest and grade it, see how they're doing, establish a benchmark, all right, or a foundation. They should then watch the DVD. At the same time, they're making additional notes on their PowerPoint slides, right? Then at the end of that, go back and take a test sometime in the future.
Exactly. And then if the student does not make the 85 norm, that the steps need to be repeated again. Top to bottom.
Virtual Science University was designed with this in mind. Here you will find a series of concise lectures, unique music, and hands-on applications that will help your student learn and remember biology.
That's what digestion is all. Following its proper passage down the esophagus. That's very critical for you to see and for you to understand here at the mouth, but it's going to go as you eat something and you chew it, it's going to go down the esophagus. The mouth, munch, because the other solid materials that get moved out, the large intestine and the colon.
Professor Paul used a wide variety of proven learning methods to help your student excel.
The hardest thing now is the terminology. There's words that are 15 letters long, and that terminology they have to retain for 3 years before they take the TAKS test. And it's hard. I mean, you have to find creative ways to get them to remember these big words. Prokaryotic, eukaryotic, meiosis, mitosis. What goes with what? How do I remember it? Today, kids are different. I mean, it's hard to motivate them. You have to find ways to motivate them, things to get them excited about coming to class.
The most difficult part about learning science is being exposed to new terms, new words that you've never heard before, and understanding what those words mean. I would recommend this to anyone who's interested in science or is thinking of entering the medical field. It will help them have a better grasp of the basics of science education.
So let's talk about helpful hints. You, on your lectures, on your DVDs, put important information. It kind of comes up on the screen. Why did you do that?
Well, because that's a hint to tell the student, hello, this information is important, and this information is going to be testable.
How do you know what's going to be on the test?
Again, you know, the Texas TEKS, they're the roadmap that tells me what is testable, what important facts need to be covered, and what important facts need to be tested.
Well, you know, you talked about how in the classroom, when you get those helpful hints, you would stop the tape.
Exactly.
And expound on that information.
Exactly. Of course, the epiglottis and trachea are very essential because those two have to work hand in hand, because if not, then you'll choke down with the food that you eat and it goes into the trachea instead of following its proper passage down the esophagus. That's very critical for you to see and for you to understand. That's important for a teacher to do that, because this particular DVD does not per se replace the teacher completely. This is just a resource, and people need to see that the teacher is in charge, but this is a research, and this is something that the teacher can always expound on and springboard from here to do anything else that needs to be done. The bottom line of all of this, Professor Paul is telling you that what you need to see is, one, that at the end of all of this, you have one molecule of glucose that's being formed, and that you see the connection between you and that plant, okay? You're getting from that plant oxygen, and you're giving to that plant CO2 or carbon dioxide.
The helpful hints, now one, remind you this is important.
Exactly.
Two, that it may be testable information.
Yes.
And number three, it's a reminder that this must be summarized into a concept, into a theory, so the student can understand it.
Exactly.
We have taken the resources and knowledge of Professor Paul Briones' 20 years of experience, and the experience of myself, a practicing physician, and combined them to create the most comprehensive and complete biology class available today. This class takes an entire year of biology. and places it on 25 easy-to-use DVDs, beginning with lab safety and ending with the organ systems of the body. This set is a must for anyone interested in teaching or learning about science and medicine. Now let's talk about this. So you applied some real life scenarios. How does that help in the classroom?
Well, the real life scenarios allows the student to connect what's being taught in the classroom to the actual real world. Because this way a student can see, hey, this is important. Like, and I'm just going to use a quick example here. You know, when in the circulatory lecture that we were doing, when we were showing the heart rate, okay, and we were showing the blood pressure readings, that tells the student immediately that's important information, because that tells me whether I'm in a healthful state or not, and that's critical information, because this way the student is able to internalize it.
I saw on your actual presentation we talked about low oxygen, high oxygen, how that gets in and out of the heart and the lungs.
Sure.
So let's see how much oxygen you have circulating around here today. So 97%. What this machine is doing is tying all your lecture together.
Sure.
From the oxygen in the lungs being measured here, to the blood pressure here, to the heart rate here.
Okay.
Now, do any other videos that you know of have this?
The research that I did, no other videos in biology has a practicing physician like what we have. And it shows the connection between the classroom and the medical field.
Now, tell me about some learning aids. You use quite a bit of learning aids. Sure. And many of these learning aids, so the audience knows, can be found in the home. They don't have to go out and buy anything, spend another $1. Let's give some examples of that. Let's talk about the genetics lecture.
Sure. The genetics lecture, what I did is I got some poster board, and I used it as props. And from that poster board, I created both a monohybrid cross and a dihybrid cross, where the content was laid out on the poster board, and the student could see clearly what alleles were being distributed from parent to offspring. As I call out the genotype, I'm also going to call out the phenotype so that you can keep up with me. And then in a little bit, we're going to actually count, you know, how many were round and then how many were wrinkled and so forth.
A couple more examples. Let's talk about mitosis and what you use for mitosis. That was very interesting, by the way.
Yes, very much so. We went down to the gym and pulled some of the things that are used down there in the gym for exercise physiology. And I brought some dumbbells, you know, and some balloons to represent, you know, the dumbbells being the homologous chromosomes that are being passed on from one cell to the other. And so this way, the student could see clearly what was happening from the mother cell here to the two new daughter cells over here, and they could see clearly what was happening from the beginning to the end. But what I want you to see more than anything else is that in the steps of mitosis, as you recall, in interphase, when it's sitting here, the DNA is being synthesized and replicated, and then getting ready to divide. And then in prophase, they double and become these chromatids right here, which are the new chromosomes. They get replicated, and they're right here, okay?
And one more thing, protein synthesis. That was interesting what you did there. In fact, I think I brought my son's toys for that.
With protein synthesis, basically what I did was I put together a bunch of, you know, your little son's toys to represent the enzymes that were being created as that the DNA polymerase was breaking each individual anticodon from the messenger RNA and creating the specific amino acid, so that the kids or the students could see clearly how each particular amino acid was being brought together to make the protein molecule. Right in here. And then here, I got a cytosine. That means I need a green one, which is a guanine. And then right here, I got a thymine. Remember, this part right here is the DNA, but the thymine in RNA, again, is going to pair up with an adenine, which is right here. At this point, hello, we have stopped the transcription process. It's like a period at the end of a sentence.
We have put over 75 years in creating this program because we recognize that preparation is the key to passing any exam, including the TAKS, and then of course exams. We created the only 25 DVD CD set of the full-year biology course online. Each DVD includes a unique teaching style, complete with concise lectures, helpful hints, hands-on applications, and original music, all aiming to help you learn and teach biology.
I don't know anyone who doesn't have an iPod. I mean, they sit and this is their iPod 24 hours a day. And that's how they study. That's how they live. So I'm like, you know, why not? If it's gonna help them test, and it does. I mean, they are focused. My scores went up at least by 20% when I started letting them listen to music. I mean, that is a great way to get them interested. And I know these DVDs, they have that. I mean, they tie it into hip hop music. It's a great tool to get kids to focus and mainly pay attention.
Who is Brother Bones? He's got 206 bones. Who is Brother Bones? Let me tell you about Brother Bones.
I started using music back in 1992, 17 years ago, where I was in the middle of my graduate program, and my major professor, who had been at the University of Iowa, who is the leader in science education, you know, he walked into my class one day, and then, well, he was noticing what I was doing, and he goes, Paul, why don't you start using that medium to get youngsters to learn? And since then, I have been writing original music for the particular topics of biology.
From the top of the head to the tip of the toe, oxygen and nutrients are what you need to grow. Let's start at the heart and work our way through. Let's learn how the heart is working for you.
How does music help us learn?
Sure. The three learning inputs are the auditory, the visual, and the kinesthetic, which is hands-on application. What it does is it puts the information in a rhythmic, organized patterns. You know, music has patterns to it. It's got beats to it, you know, and I have kids come through the door and say, give me the beat. You know, and that's basically, you know, when you have a kid come in like that and is energetic about the subject matter, that means that you've captured him already. And you're in a position to where you can deliver because he's opened up, and now you can use his way of relating things for him to learn. Recycle, reduce, reuse is the game plan of today. What about aluminum cans? They go chickity-kitty-kitty-kitty-bum-bum. Movement through a permeable membrane. MITOSIS mitosis. Talking about cell division. Top to bottom. In and out. In the mouth. And through the gut. That's what digestion is all about.
So what you essentially do is you take your whole lecture, right? Yes. You create the PowerPoint slides. Then you use a lecture to create the music.
Exactly.
One thing that's important about your DVDs is you have music about every 7 or 10 minutes. Why do you do that?
Well, because you see, in the actual classroom, kids, you know, their attention spans are so limited that after a given amount of time, they're going to start doing this. You know, and I had a kid that you know, I made that statement that what I was going to do differently, that every 7 to 10 minutes I was going to bring the music in. And then, you know, he'd be looking at his watch and says, hey, Professor Paul, where's the beat, man? We're going to get, oh my goodness, hello. we're gonna get into the song dealing with hormones, how they flow, and how it gets us to reproduce. Hello. The meat's in the male that swim when they squirm. They swim when they squirm. The meat's in the female that roll when they flow. They roll when they flow.
And you don't mind them standing up and singing and dancing and everything.
Of course not.
It's part of it.
Yes.
If that's what it takes for them to learn it, so be it.
So be it. I sincerely care about student learning. Those of you that have been my colleagues in the past and that have been my ex-students, you know that there is a sincere calling to what I do, and that I'm passionate about teaching biology and teaching science, because I want everybody that's in a classroom, whether it's in Texas or anywhere else, to achieve their goals to the highest level that there is.
You know, Professor Paul and I have taken a year of our time to create this 25 CD DVD set. It's a large undertaking. It's a huge process. But we did it for one simple reason. We want students and parents and teachers and administrators to benefit from our program. And at the end, if our students learn biology, it'll help them both now and in their futures. We hope this program will help each and every one of y'all in your endeavors to learn science and medicine. Good luck to you.